right. Hallelujah. As we face Jerusalem, right? Hold on. A psalm of praise is going to take out from the 140th Psalm. You guys know what to do when you got it. As we face Jerusalem, deliver me, O Yahuwah, from the evil man.
Deliver me, O Yahuwah, from the evil man.
Preserve me from the violent man.
Preserve me from the violent man.
Which imagine mischief in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war. They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips. Keep me, O Yahuwah, from the hands of the wicked.
Keep me, O Yahuwah, from the hands of the wicked.
Preserve me from the violent man.
Preserve me from the violent man.
Who have purpose to overthrow my goings. The proud have hid a snare for me. And cords. They have spread a net by the wayside. They have set gins for me. I have said unto Yahuwah, thou art my Elohim.
I said to Yahuwah, thou art my Elohim.
Hear the voice of my supplications, O Yahuwah.
Hear the voice of my supplications, O Yahuwah.
O Elohim, Yahuwah, the strength of my salvation.
O Elohim, Yahuwah, the strength of my salvation.
Thou hast covered my head in the day of battle.
Thou hast covered my head in the day of battle.
Grant not, O Yahuwah, the desires of the wicked.
Grant not, O Yahuwah, the desires of the wicked.
Further not his wicked device, lest they exalt themselves.
Further not his wicked device, lest they exalt themselves.
As for the head of those that compass me about, let the mischief of their own lips cover them.
Let the mischief of their own lips cover them.
Let burning coals fall upon them.
Let burning coals fall upon them.
Let them be cast into the fire.
Let them be cast into the fire.
Into deep pits that they rise not up again.
Into deep pits that they rise not up again.
Let not an evil speaker be established in the earth.
Let not an evil speaker be established in the earth.
Evil shall hunt the violent man to overthrow him.
Evil shall hunt the violent man to overthrow him.
I know that Yahuwah will maintain the cause of the afflicted.
I know that Yahuwah will maintain the cause of the afflicted.
And the right of the poor.
And the right of the poor.
Surely the righteous shall give thanks unto thy name.
Surely the righteous shall give thanks unto thy name.
The upright shall dwell in thy presence.
The upright shall dwell in thy presence.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Mhm. One of the scribes came and having heard the reason together, and perceiving that he had answered them well, asked him, which is the first commandment of all? And Joshua answered him, the first of all the commandments is, hear, O Yahweh. The first of all the commandments is, hear, O Yahweh. The first of all the commandments is, hear, O Yahweh. Yahuwah, thy Elohim is one. Right. Let's go. Shema, Shema. Come on. Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. Come on, get it. The righteous man, they are ordered of Yah. They are ordered of Yah. He goes for the steps of the righteous man. They are ordered of Yah. I don't hear you. Yeah, knock it down. 29, I believe. 29. Oh, okay. All right. 29. All right. That's what the authorities say.
All right, from the top. He that is merciful will lend unto his neighbor, and he that strength his hand keep the commandment.
Wow. Wow. Say loud on that one.
Lend to thy neighbor in time of his need, and pay thou thy neighbor again in due season. Keep thy word and deal faithfully with him, and thou shalt always find the thing that is necessary for you. Meaning, when the thing was lent them, reckon it to be found, and put them to trouble that help them.
Yeah.
Meaning, when a thing was lent to them, let them reckon it to be found.
Look what I found.
And put them to trouble that help them.
Wow. Man,
so I reckon they were slow to pay them back or didn't want to.
Yeah. It didn't cause conflict because of the fact that, hey, That's what you do. I owe this man money, so
Man,
I started fighting with him. He'd get out my face. And I found the money actually. That's what he said. I found it. It's crazy that human beings actually have a mentality like that.
human beings.
I said human beings. Yeah.
Human beings.
We are in no way disparaging Cubans, all right?
No.
Let me put that disclaimer.
Yeah, definitely.
Human beings, man. I mean, that's deep though. People have that in their spirit to be like that though.
Oh, yeah, verse 6. Now, verse 5. Till he have received, he will kiss a man's hand.
Give me, please.
Gassing them up.
Please. Yeah.
And for his neighbor's money, he will speak submissive.
King.
Wow.
King. Let me have a word with you right quick. How's your family? How's your mom? Go ahead.
Dang. But when he shall repay, he will prolong the time and return words of grief.
Why you bringing up old stuff?
Well, you knew I was broken in the first place. That's why. And return words of grief and complain of the time.
Oh, brother, I just got that money from you last year, last winter. Go ahead.
If he prevail, he shall hardly receive the help, and he will count as if he had found it.
Again.
If not, he have deprived him of his money. Ooh, Lord, we going so small. And he have gotten him an enemy without cause.
Wow.
He paid him with curses and railings. For honor, he will pay him disgrace. Many therefore have refused to lend for other men's ill dealing, fearing to be defrauded.
That's crazy, man.
That make it worse for everybody.
Yup. Because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Go ahead.
Yet have thou patience with a man in poor estate,
Right?
and delay not to show him mercy. Help the poor for the commandments' sake, and turn him not away because of his poverty. Lose thy money for thy brother and thy friend,
Yep.
and let it not rust under a stone to be lost. Lay up thy treasure according to the commandments of the Most High, and it shall bring you more profit than gold. Shut up alms in the storehouses, and it shall deliver you from all affliction.
Yup.
It shall fight for you against thine enemies better than the mighty shield and strong spear. An honest man is surety for his neighbor, but he that is impudent will forsake him. Forget not the friendship of thy surety, for he hath given his life for you. A sinner will overthrow the good estate of his surety, and he that is of an unthankful mind will leave him in danger that believeth him.
Wow.
Suretyship, what came over the word.
Yup, sure did.
Suretyship have undone many of good estate and shaken them as a wave from the sea. Mighty men have it driven from their houses, so that they wandered among strange nations. A wicked man transgressed the commandments of Yahuwah shall fall into suretyship. And he that undertake and follow other men's business for gain shall fall into suits. Help thy neighbor according to thy power, and beware that thou thyself fall not into the same.
Yup.
The chief thing for life is water and bread and clothes and a house to cover shame. Better is the life of a poor man in a mean cottage than delicate fare in another man's house.
Woo!
When it better is the life of a poor man in a mean cottage than delicate fare in another man's house. Be it little or much, hold you contented,
Man.
and thou hear not the reproach of your house. For it is a miserable life to go from house to house.
Sure is.
For where there art a stranger, thou darest not open your mouth.
That's miserable. Ain't no grown person should even be in that type of state.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt entertain and feast and have no thanks. Moreover, thou shalt hear bitter words.
Yup. When is he leaving? When is he going home? You ain't got to go home. You know the rest.
Come, thou stranger, and furnish a table, and feed me of that thou hast ready. Give place, thou stranger, to an honorable man. My brother come to be lodged, and I have need of mine house. These things are grievous to a man of understanding. The upbraiding of housewomen and reproaching of the linen.
Right.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. That's something right there, boy. Don't want to be in that state. Baruch Shabbat.
Baruch Shabbat. Hallelujah.
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 All right. Our reading today, or our lesson today, is one of my favorites. One of my favorites. Man. This is the name. This is called. Now I figured I was going to do this one today because the next time I deal with Israel is going to be doing Black History Month. So we're going to deal with a little bit of Israel today. Well, actually, it's not even so much Israel. We're dealing with the Father today. Oh, yeah. The name of this was called "And the Severity Thereof." Oh, yeah. And the severity thereof. So every time we think of, and pardon me using this term, because a lot of people are familiar with this term, but every time we think of God, we always want to think of him in his favorable light.
Right.
I am God's favorite. I am blessed, highly favored. Man, he is on my side. Everywhere I turn, he's on my right hand and left hand. I'm going to tell you everything that I can in praise of God, except for the keeping of his commandments.
Exactly.
Except for the keeping of his word. You ain't going to hear that. You ain't going to hear that. All thing you're going to hear from me is God is good.
And he's good all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
God is good.
God is good.
That's all good. Look. When I speak to God, I speak so it put a smile on your face.
Yeah, man.
Preach it, brother.
Man. But today, for the next hour and a half or 2 hours, there ain't going to be no smile.
Oh,
Because this is the one that you don't hear about. Again, this is and the severity thereof. Right?
Right.
Man. I'm not, what I'm doing is I'm not just going to show you the Father's wrath. This lesson is going to show you the mindset that the Father had. His mentals, his mentality. It's on a whole nother level. But see, you don't know him unless you know this part of him. All right? Let's start this off at Exodus, the 14th chapter. Let's look at one. Let's look at one.
Oh, man.
Okay. Exodus, the 14th chapter. Exodus, the 14th chapter. And we're going to start from the top.
It's the 14.
Uh-huh.
Elohim. And Yahuwah spake unto Shemaiah, saying, speaking to the children of Yasharel, that they turned and encamped before Pi Hahiro, between Migdal and the sea over against Baal Zephon, before shall ye encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Yasharel, they are entangled in the land. The wilderness have shut them up. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart that he shall follow after them. And I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon all his hosts, that the Mizraimites may know that I am Yahuwah. And they did so.
Now that's something deep, y'all. Y'all see what the Father does there? He put the whole nation into a trick bag for one reason, so that he can be exalted.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I get out of this is this. Again, our people just did not know the mind of the Most High to understand how he operated, because he literally put them in a state that would allow the Pharaoh to be thinking, oh, I got him now. But if we knew the Father, we would not allow ourselves to murmur all the time and to complain and be disobedient. Because the Father knows what he's doing. There's never a time when he don't know what he's doing, but yeah, you don't even want to keep his commandments. You don't even want to turn your back against this world's observation of a whole nother deity. Because why? Because the nation that know not the Father, they spare no offense in their celebration of their deity. That's why we get caught up in it. You can't turn from it. Wow, look at those lights, man. Those lights are pretty. Turn on lights pretty. Combine them lights with the sound of them bells. The bells will take you out every chance. But they spare no expense. Because why? Because Satan is that's what he does. That's his biggest strength. His biggest strength is deception and seduction. That's his biggest strength. And we have to be able to see it coming in order to be able to deal with it. The average person can't see it coming, because anything that looks good and sounds good will come from the Most High. Because guess what? They not only know the Father, they don't know Satan either. What was Satan's title back in the day?
He was a chief musician.
He was a chief musician, Jack. The chief musician. Did not sound bad coming from Satan, coming from Lucifer. Lucifer could get the party started.
Yeah, he can.
Before you even had a chance to think about it, Jack, you be on it. That's who he was. Okay? Man, don't allow me to get this deep. Get deep. Woo! Y'all know Lucifer is just always about us as a people. That's why we're in the condition that we're in. Tell me another people whose art form was an art form that literally sheds blood and kills them. An art form of a people that shed much blood of their own, not of their enemy, but their enemy is jamming to that same music as well. You know, I'm going to just name these two brothers. Now, I like them I guess probably from a carnal level, because I'm entertained by them. But to a certain degree, man, you got to kind of feel bad for these. I'm just naming these two brothers specifically because we now don't really see them in this life no more because of where they're at now. But you look at a cat like, and I love them, Ice Cube,
Yeah.
huh? Snoop Dogg.
Oh my goodness.
You understand what I'm saying? It's a lot of blood there.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
No matter how big a smile they put on your face, because again, I love them on that level, but yet it's still, I don't even know how I could survive knowing that I that my music was responsible for the death of just one. Of just one. And we ain't talking about one, you know. But I'm just saying there's something to think about though. You know, because we as humans look at stuff in the present, but the Father don't just see the present. He see everything as just at one time, you know. And I'm not trying to judge the brothers, but the truth is what it is. The truth is what it is, and there's no way to turn it to change what it is. Okay? But I'm just saying I brought them up because just to show you that Satan is in the midst of that. That same news that we still be jamming to. This on a whole nother level. To this day. To this day. To this day. He's the author of it. Because what he wants to accomplish in the Father's people, it was accomplished. Yeah. Man. Wow. That's heavy. Anyway, where we at?
5.
Okay.
Verse 5, and it was told the king of Misraim that the people fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was turned against the people. And they said, why have we done this, that we have let Yasharel go from serving?
And just keep in mind that the Father had already, he didn't do this without letting the people know what he was doing. Because he let Shemaiah, look, tell him to let my people go. But I will harden his heart, okay? You're going to tell him, but he's not going to let you go. Because I'm going to put in him not to let you go. So it wasn't like they was like, see, this wasn't a Job situation. Job had no idea what was going on. But the people, if they would have just been considerate of the voice of Yah, they would have knew what was going on. Because he told them. All right, but go ahead.
And he made ready his chariot to get people with him. And he took 600 chosen chariots, and all the chariots of Mitzrayim, and captains over every one of them. And Yahuwah hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, and he pursued after the children of Yasharel. And the children of Yasharel went out with a high hand, but the Mizraimites pursued after them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, and his horsemen, and his army, and overtook them encamping by the sea, beside Pi-hahiroth, before Baal Zephon. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Yasharel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Mizraimites marched after them. And they were so afraid. And the children of Yasharel cried out unto Yahuwah. And they said unto Shemaiah, because there were no graves in Mizraim, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness?
And right here, see this right here? This mentality never ceased from among us. You would have thought after this day, that would have been the last time they would have said it. The last time they would have ever uttered anything against the Father and against his anointing. You would think that. If you do a search on your Bible gateway, a biblical search, do a search for the anger of the Lord. And see how many times that shows up between here and Joshua. One time too many. Well, it's going to be about at least a good 12 times. There's no way in the world the Father should have ever been angry against the people that he's delivering with a mighty hand and fury poured out. But this is what we're saying when we're looking up at the adversary. Because they said to Shemaiah, because there were no graves in Mizraim, thou hast taken us away to die in the wilderness. For some reason, that's another thing, y'all. We got issues against being in the wilderness, against being isolated, against spending that quality time with the Father. We got issues with that. We don't want that. But go ahead.
Wherefore, as thou dealt with us to carry us forth out of Mizraim?
Yeah, Shemaiah, what's on your mind, man? all this time, you done did these 10 signs, these 10 miracles, these 10 plays against these people. Oh, that's out the door right there. Why? Why have you dealt with us? Go ahead.
So I would ask the same question though. Hey, that's a situation, and we acting like we ain't gonna have the same thing until we in a situation like
Well, see, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. There's a difference between the people that out here, like I told y'all last week. Sister told me, he said in the Facebook, these vaccines are a gift from the Most High. So I'm just saying, there's a difference between the people that don't know what's going on, huh? And doing everything within their power to try to offset something, and those of us who knew it was coming all the time. Huh? I have no fear of COVID. To this day, it's been, what, 2.5 years, and I've never had no fear of it.
Not at all.
We're vacationing in hot spots, COVID hot spots. The number high and red, we on the buses chilling, having a good time in Miami, Florida. And I'm just using that as an example. I literally have no fear of it, period. Why? Because I have the foreknowledge to understand that all this was coming.
Mm-hmm.
See, ever since Barack Obama did, I'm just saying for me, when he became president and he did this whole thing with the Health Care Act, and we are like, oh man, is this Health Care Act gonna be?
Matter of fact, he said something about it before it happened.
But, yeah.
Yeah, he said something.
Right.
Yeah.
You see, when you already got the foreknowledge, it's a little bit hard to fear when you see the Father putting His word into effect.
Well, I wouldn't. It's not a fear, but sometimes when you see things coming to fruition that you probably never thought that it would be in your generation, that can be not really fearful, but it can be like, wow, like startling. I would say that.
Right. But again, I want you to look at the whole picture. The whole picture again is that we were slaves. See, none of us got whips across our backs. We've seen racism in our own way, but from what 4 or 5 generations went through, we ain't experienced none of that. You were just talking about that last night. Huh? What your granddaddy told you about, all you can do is hear it and try to perceive it. But your granddaddy talking from straight experience. Having to get off the crosswalk because 2 white people are coming your way. And make sure you address them as Mr. whatever, and they ain't addressing you as Mr. Back. I ain't never experienced that. I can only hear about it. So again, the point is that here these people experience this right here, and not
that alone should have been like, yo, I'm out.
Well, okay, exactly. That's correct. But the thing is not the experience that here comes this brother coming, and he like, we heard him tell Pharaoh straight to his face to let come on, follow along with
me.
me.
He went to the king
right
himself.
It's almost like when we used to hear Minister Farrakhan say stuff on interviews to white people. He was all like, did he just say that?
Yeah, that is kind of similar. Exactly, it is kind of similar.
You wouldn't know. You all were young, but when we saw it, we would be like,
right, that is kind of similar. Right.
But we had never heard nothing.
Right. But immediately after he tells him to let my people go, and he's able to walk away from that meeting without harm, and now he tells them that these plagues are about to happen.
Before Pharaoh.
Huh? Yeah. Not 1, not 2, not 5, not 8, but 10. You know you got your fear has to somewhat subside somewhat.
But I don't think you would fear. It's like I don't think you fear now. And I think you would be
yeah, now because we ain't in the same situation. They were coming straight out of capitulation. You know what I'm saying?
Because you read it, you see what's coming.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't have no fear now. But I'm talking about
they were fresh out of something else.
But I'm even dealing with what they were dealing with. The fact that they watched their children being used as no children being used as a piece of the rock to build the pyramids. When they didn't have something stuffed into the hole,
Right.
they
Oh,
would
come
stuff
on.
their babies
Babies into
in
the
there,
actual building.
live. So when you seeing that, you're like, oh wait, hold on, it's time to bounce. But the people that were kicking against it, not so much all of them. I think it was a sect of them, kind of like the ones who lived in the big house, or maybe the ones who had a little bit of.
That's a really good that's a real
Because
good
there were people
right.
who did not want to leave slavery in our parents'
Yeah.
dispensation, and it was because they had it a little bit better than the people in the field.
Right. That's a very good point. And then 9 times out of 10, those people that come out of the big house would be considered leaders from
Right.
a social level
Right.
among our people.
Just
So
like
yeah, you make very good points. But and again, the same people are the same people that are able to influence
Right.
the rest of right,
They're
the rest
doing
of the
that now.
people.
Like,
Right.
I would name names, but you all know.
Right.
they're doing it now.
So notice the dichotomy going on here where it says where we at? Hold on, my page keeps flipping. It says in verse 10, it says at the end of it, and the children of Yashrael cried unto Yah, but at the same time you got them crying unto Yah, they looking at Yah sent Shemaiah and saying some very disparaging words toward him. You see that's going on. It's like, well, what you gonna do? You're gonna cry toward Yah, but the one that the Father sent, you're gonna be disrespectful toward him.
Murmuring and complaining.
Murmuring and complaining. So at any rate, go ahead.
Verse 12, is not this the word that we did tell you in Mizraim, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians?
So again, Tonda made a very good point. These more likely wasn't been the ones that were getting their ass kicked on a daily basis.
No.
These were the ones that are in that Mizraim has set up to be the slave drivers and the ones that lived in the better houses, right? That had bellies was full.
That's great.
Right. Go ahead. It's not just the word that we did. We told you this in Mizraim. All right, so what? You had this sign, you had the other sign, you had 10 signs. All them signs, we still trying to tell you, man, you better leave them Mizraimites alone. That's what it was. Is this not what we told
I
you?
told you this is gonna happen, man.
Let us alone that we may serve Mizraim. Let us alone that we may continue to be this second-class citizen here in this place. Go ahead.
I'm gonna start back at the top
Okay.
as well. Is not this the word that we told you in Mizraim, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Mizraimites? For it had been better for us to serve the Mizraimites than that we should die in the wilderness. And Shemaiah said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Yahuwah, which he will show to you today. For the Mizraimites whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again, no more forever.
Man, he was clear about that. Ain't nothing he said was a lie up until this time. Y'all was in the best place that y'all have ever been as long as y'all can remember. And now he stand there and say, look, don't fear, stand still and watch the salvation of Yahuwah, which he will show you today. For these Mizraimites whom you have seen today, you should see them no more again, forever. Go ahead.
Yahuwah shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And Yahuwah said unto Shemaiah, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speaking to the children of Yashrael, that they go forward, but lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out your hand over the sea, and divide it, and the children of Yashrael shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea.
There's a place in Paul's letter in Romans where he says something to the extent of the Father know what you need of even before you ask him. Y'all read that before? Yeah, he said that. Before you even ask him, he already know what you need of. And here the Father's telling Shemaiah, look, why y'all crying unto me? Oh, I got this. Y'all ain't have to cry unto me because I already know what I'm about to do. Okay? Look, speak unto the children of Yahshua that they go forward. In other words, I don't even want them to stand still. I want them to be headed into the direction where they need to be going. Go ahead.
But lift up your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it, and the children of Yahshua shall go dry ground through the midst of the sea. And now, behold, I will harden the hearts of the Mizraimites, and they shall follow them. And I will get me up honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his hosts, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the Mizraimites shall know that I am Yahuwah, and I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the angel of Yahuwah, of Elohim,
Right.
which went before the camp of Yasharel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them.
I love that passage, man. I love that. The visual of that is like, man.
Read it again.
Verse 19, and the angel of Elohim, which went before the camp of
Wait a minute,
Yasharel.
hold up. Did we forget that the angel appeared in the cloud and was directing them? Did we forget that too?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? The cloud is leading us the way. It's the angel. And then we stuck. And all of a sudden we like,
Huh. That's amazing. That's an amazing sight, man.
it is.
I understand why they were complaining when you seeing all this stuff happen. It's like, okay, somebody's on our side.
Right. Read that one more time.
And the angel of Yahuwah of Elohim, which went before the camp of Yasharel.
Uh-huh.
He went before the camp of Yasharel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them.
Wow.
And it came between the camp of the Mizraimites and the camp of Yasharel, and it was a cloud and darkness to them. But it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all night. Let me see. And Shammai stretched out his
They
hand.
never showed that in any movie I haven't seen, man. That would have been an awesome scene to be able to see that. The whole congregation looking up at that cloud that was before them going to the rear. So go ahead.
Verse 21, and Shammai stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahuwah caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land. And the waters were divided, and the children of Yasharel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground. And the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left.
Yeah.
And the Mizraimites pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses and his chariots and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning, watched Yahuwah look upon the host of the Mizraimites through a pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Mizraimites, and took off their chariot wheels, that they drave them heavily, so that the Mizraimites said, let us flee from the face of Yasharel, for Yahuwah fight for them against the Mizraimites. So that, okay.
So in the beginning of this chapter, the Father had put Yasharel in that trap, but now we got them being right in the trap. Stuck between the walls of water high, and the chariot wheels fall off. And they ain't got no way to get out from the midst of the Red Sea. Go ahead. And you know, history shows that they found them chariot wheels in the bottom of the Red Sea to this day. Yeah. There's documentaries that show them. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, 26. Yahuwah said unto Shemaiah, stretch out your hand over the sea, and the waters may come up again upon the Mizraimites, upon their chariots, and upon their horses. And Shemaiah stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength. And when the morning appeared, the Mizraimites fled against it. And Yahuwah overthrew the Mizraimites in the midst of the sea. And the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen, and all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. All alone got. But the children of Yasharel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea. And the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. This Yahuwah saved Yasharel that they are the hand of the Mizraimites. And Yasharel saw the Mizraimites dead upon the seashore. Read that. And Yasharel saw the great work which Yahuwah did upon the Mizraimites. And the people feared Yahuwah and believed Yahuwah and his servant Shemaiah.
Man, how long did that last? And we're the same people today, man. Stuff don't last for us for a minute. We could be outraged like you don't know what. Today, by the time we had a good sleep, by the time we wake up the next day,
We all right.
yeah, exactly. The exact same people, man. Chapter 15, verse 1.
All right. Chapter 15. Let's see here. Then sang Shemaiah and the children of Yasharel this song unto Yahuwah and spake, saying, I will sing unto Yahuwah, for he hath triumphed great gloriously. The horse and his rider have he thrown into the sea. Yahuwah is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. He is my Elohim, and I will prepare him in a habitation, my Abba's Elohim, and I will exalt him. Yahuwah is a man of war. Yahuwah is his name.
Oh, we forget about that part, man. God is so nice and friendly and happy. Man.
So merciful,
Yeah.
loving, kind.
Yeah, he sent his son.
Yes, he is.
And then,
John 3:16, don't forget that.
that's right. But 1,500 years later, he sent his other son, little fat dude with the red suit.
Okay.
That knows,
Yeah,
you get it. He knows everything, everything. He got that list.
And
And you
shaking
better-
it twice.
The man. Matter of fact, you can even write him a letter to verify that you on that list.
To be naughty or nice, you better be
Man.
nice.
But yeah, he said that he is a man of war. And Yahuwah is his name. Go ahead.
That was what I was telling y'all last night too with the other people in the area of Canaan and the Levant.
Right, you
You know what I'm
mention
saying?
that.
With they pagan religions, they worship they pagan gods, but they reserve the war and the agriculture to Yahuwah.
No, they had God of war. That's who Aries is. That's who Mars is.
What people you talking about?
Huh?
What people you talking
All
about?
the people have, because everything that the
every-
Romans got
Yeah, I was
but it comes from them.
Yeah.
Everything that they got, the Greeks and the Romans, it first appeared to these people here.
Yeah.
They had the deities of agriculture and war.
Yeah.
Yep. Now I hear what you're saying though, but absolutely, here's what it is though. The thing is this: they had all of those deities, but the Father Yah had always been the reality that they just never wanted to face because he was just not a part of our culture and our tradition. So when we think about them guys again on the ship, that's the example of them. They all had their deities that they comfortably worshiped because they felt like, hey, y'all, he's just not in our dynamic. It's like you talk to your coworker. Y'all is just not in our dynamic. Right. But I ain't gonna try to have a Bible study with Tonda though.
Right.
I'm not gonna have a scriptural study with Andrea. I'm not gonna go there because they're just a little bit too real for me. Right. I ain't gonna invite AJ over to my house until after the holidays. I don't want him to just he be hating Jack. All I'm trying to do is have a good time for my kids.
It's all
That's all I'm
for
trying to do. I don't want to hear nothing bad about none of this stuff.
Right.
If it was good enough for my mama and my daddy, good enough for me.
I literally had somebody on the third.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I swear, people be forgetting that we were all born and raised in this stuff. You think you could tell me something about Jesus that I don't know, that I never heard of? Seriously? You think that there's some passage that you can read to me that make me go, oh man, wait a minute.
Wait a minute, I
Yeah.
got one in Bible study the other day.
Right,
Okay.
right. I need to turn to Jesus. And I need to be a little bit more respectful about the trees, these beautiful trees, and Santa and all that other stuff. But anyway, where we at? We still in 15.
Yeah, when verse 4, it say, here we go. Pharaoh's chariot and his host have he cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They sank into the bottoms and into the bottom as a stone. Thy right hand, O Yahuwah, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Yahuwah, have dashed in pieces the enemy. And in the greatness of your excellency, thou hast overthrown them that rose up against you. Thou sent forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble. And with the blast of thy nostrils, the waters were gathered together. The flood stood upright as a heap, and he in the depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil. My lust shall be satisfied upon them. I will draw my sword, my hand shall destroy them. Thou did blow with thy wind, the sea covered them. They sank as lead in the mighty waters.
Lead always been that thing, boy. It don't float. Lead don't float, Jack. Go ahead.
Who is like unto you, O Yahuwah, among the idols?
That's the question. Who is like unto Yahuwah? See, if you have church and you don't even call on the name of Yah.
They don't even know his name.
Huh? The Most High, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is not in the midst of that stuff. It's not. Okay? He's like, who is like unto you, O Yahuwah, among the gods? With another place says, which are no God.
Who is like you, glorious in righteousness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? Thou stretch out thy right hand, the earth swallowed them. Thou in thy mercy hast led forth the people, which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto thy holy habitation. The people shall hear and be afraid.
Now, this is the part that here, but it's addressing what you were saying earlier. Go ahead.
Verse 14, the people shall hear and be afraid.
Right.
Sorrow shall take hold on the inhabitants of Palestine. Then the dukes of Edom shall be amazed.
The dukes of Edom.
The mighty men of Moab.
And that's okay, and let's keep this in mind. Because we know that Edom is the head of the Confederacy, right? Edom, they knew of Yah because that's our brother. But by this time, they was long outside of the context of worshiping the Father. That's deep. But that's what he put them as an outsider here. Go ahead.
Verse 15 from the top. Then the dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men of Moab trembling shall take hold upon them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away. Fear and dread shall fall upon them. By the greatness of your arm, they shall be as still as a stone, till thy people pass over. O Yahuwah, till the people pass over, which thou hast purchased. Thou shalt bring them in and plant them in the mountain of thine inheritance, in the place, O Yahuwah, which thou hast made for you to dwell in the sanctuary, O Yahuwah, which thy hands have established. Yahuwah shall reign forever and ever. And the horse of Pharaoh went in with his chariots and with his horsemen into the sea. And Yahuwah brought again the waters of the sea upon them, But the children of Yasharel went on dry land in the midst of the sea. And Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand. And all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. And Miriam answered them, sing ye to Yahuwah, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider have he thrown into the sea. So Shemaiah brought Yasharel from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. And when they came to Marah, they could not drink of the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore the name of it was called Marah. And the people murmured against Shemaiah, saying, what shall we drink? And he cried unto Yahuwah, and Yahuwah showed him a tree, which when he had cast it into the waters were made sweet. Then he made for them a statute and an ordinance, and then he proved it.
That's what it's all about, being proven. Being proven, man. This is a basic training for a nation.
Yep.
You're in the military, you know what basic training is like.
They said they brainwashing.
It's a brainwashing. And I'm serious about this too, because I should show it up. I'm going to just limit it like this. When that NCO with that Smokey the Bear come on the scene, all he making you think is he had the worst morning in the world. Huh? His morning was the man. You can't imagine what he went through that morning.
Only you can stop for it.
No, I'm just saying, no, he coming in there and man, you ain't even did nothing. You already in trouble and fear, right?
Oh yeah, they walk up on the bus and say,
Yeah.
"Whole seconds to meet this bus."
Right.
Three of them already done.
Right. Exactly. And I ain't gonna lie, because I went through it. But when I went through it, my mind wasn't as mature as it should have been. I got caught up in it to a certain degree. To a certain degree, I did. But those who knew and know, it's a game.
But when you were a teenager.
Right, that's true. Yeah. Unless you done had somebody in your family to wire you up. So when I came home, I did that with a couple of my friends. I taught them the ABCs. I taught them the chain of command. When they got not too long after they got in there, they were staff leaders or whatever stuff. Right. Private first class, whatever, just because of what I gave them to let them know the heads up to this. But that's what the Father said, to prove you, to try to get you to understand that, hey, you got to trust in me, man. I'm not putting y'all into a place of just like the way y'all came from. We got beautiful houses and all set up and everything. Y'all are raw dogging this because I'm trying to purge out from among you the rebels and those who are still looking toward Mizraim as a place where you need to be. And that's what he said, to prove them. Verse 26.
And said, if thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of Yahuwah thy Elohim, and will do that which is right in his sight, and will give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon you, which I have brought upon the Mizraimites.
Oh yeah, y'all forgot about that. See, y'all done made Mizraim to be this great place, but y'all forgot there was diseases that the people went through. There was pestilence that they went through. It wasn't this great thing that Satan put in your mind that you need to stay there. Right. That's right. Because that's what Satan wants you to remember, the good. But what I got for you is better than what anything on the face of this earth. Ain't nothing better. All you got to do is just strengthen yourself in the power of the Most High. That's all you got to do. Focus on that. You ain't got no bricks to be made. You ain't got nothing. You ain't got the.
Wait, no. You got to collect the straw, and you better not be short.
Right. My thing later, they made the bricks without the straw.
Yep, that's when Moshe came.
Right.
After that, it was,
Right. That's when they begin to get mad at him
Yeah, it was pissed
because of that. Yeah, what did you do?
Bro, what
What
you
did you
said?
say?
Come
Right.
on,
Yeah,
man.
go back to Midian, Arabia, wherever you come from.
Hey.
Man. But again, that's what we're dealing with. And the severity, man. We have to know the Father in all of his reality, man. If you only serve him just because you feel like he's blessing you, and he done gave you this fake holiday you think you do to make you feel good, man, you are so far removed from knowing anything about the Most High.
Yep.
And Satan had made sure you are, okay? Well, moving right along, let's go on to Psalm 106. We're going to read a little bit about some of what we just read in Psalm 106.
Hold on, let's get that last sentence
Oh,
right there.
What did he
okay.
leave off?
Oh,
Verse 26.
verse 26, okay.
So he said, I'm gonna start from the top and said, if thou would diligently hearken to the voice of Yahuwah thy Elohim and would do that which is right in his sight and would give ear to his commandments and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon you. Last sentence, which I have brought upon the Mizramites, for I am Yahuwah that heals. So no.
Man, hallelujah. All right.
What? That was nice.
Yeah, Psalm 106. Yeah, started from the top.
This is my junk right here.
Man, come on.
Man, I went to 26.
Oh man,
Psalm 106.
praise God.
Hallelujah.
What is it? Psalm 106. Praise ye Yahuwah. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is good, for his mercy endure forever. Who can utter the mighty acts of Yahuwah? Who can show forth all his praise? Blessed are they that keep judgment, and he that doeth righteousness at all times. Remember me, O Yahuwah, with the favor that thou bear unto thy people. O visit me with thy salvation, that I may see the good of thy chosen, that I may rejoice in the gladness of thy nation, that I may glory with thy inheritance. We have sinned with our fathers. We have committed iniquity. We have done wickedly.
Yep.
Our fathers understood not the. They understood the wonders of Mizraim.
They had no understanding, man. It's deep. Right before their eyes, man, they understood not. We in Psalm 106, and now we in
Verse 7.
verse 7. Go ahead.
Verse 7 again. Our fathers understood not the wonders of Mizraim, that they remembered not the multitude of thy mercies, but provoked him at the sea, even at the Red Sea.
So before they provoked the Father at the Red Sea, they had already experienced a multitude of mercies from Yah. And they understood none of it. That's the same mindset as the man that we read about earlier, that his friend loaned him some money because he's in need. And now his friend makes him his enemy.
I thought we was cool, man. I thought we was cool.
Right,
man.
thought we was cool, man. And man, now that's the worst enemy, because he created him to be an enemy. And we created the Father to be our enemy. Forgot all the mercies that he did with us. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Nevertheless, he saved him for his name's sake, that he might make his mighty powers to be known. He rebuked the Red Sea also, and it was dried up. So he led them through the depths as through the wilderness. And he saved them from the hand of him that hated them, and redeemed them from the hand of the enemy. And the waters covered their enemies. There was not one of them left. Then believed they his words. They sang his praise.
And I'm going to say this too. I don't care what level of success that you have achieved in this country of America. Just remember this. This is always going to be the house of bondage for them. The people that rule here is always going to hate you. Just like the Mizraimites hated our ancestors. That's just the truth of the matter. Ain't no changing that. Go ahead.
Verse 13. They soon forgot his words. They waited not for his counsel,
Nope.
but lusted exceedingly in the wilderness, and tempted Elohim in the desert. And he gave them their request, but sent leanness into their soul. Leanness. What is that?
It's a lack of, it's when you're lacking. Almost kind of like when you're fasting or whatever.
Okay. So, but lusted exceedingly in the wilderness and tempted. Okay, verse 15, right? And he gave them their request, but sent leanness into their soul. They envied Shemaiah also in the camp, and Aaron the saint of Yahuwah. The earth opened and swallowed up Dathan, the thorn, and covered the company of Abiram. And the fire was kindled in their company. The flame burned upon the wicked. They made a calf in Horeb and worshipped the molten image. Thus they changed their glory into the similitude of an ox that eat grass. They forgot Elohim their Savior, which had done great things in Mizraim.
And Satan is in the midst of all of this, y'all. You know, this is just flesh, and I ain't giving them no excuse, because some of them was able to rise up against this energy that Satan put among the people. But let it be known, though, Satan was right there in the midst, causing the people to be a mockery. The covenant people of the Most High, as he's doing until this day. Go ahead.
All right. Verse 19.
I'm serious, man.
No,
Anytime you can open up
22.
the scripture and show somebody Genesis, the 10th chapter, and they read the first verse to the 5th verse, and the first thing out their mouth is, show me how that's a Christmas tree. You wrestle not against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness right there. There ain't no more conversation after that.
Shall be wiser than you.
Man, ain't no more conversation after that. You don't even pursue it after that. Show me that that's a Christmas tree. You are, out of your mouth, it's like you don't submit to wickedness. If you have never read that passage before, you just read it today, and that's the best that you can come up with. Huh? Ain't no more conversation left after that, in my opinion. You should be like, wait a minute. Did he say jacket was silver and gold?
Out.
I just saw Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer last night. I think there's a song about that. Jacket was silver and gold. That's what you should be saying. But no, you said, I don't say nothing about no Christmas tree. Like as if the tree has to have a name.
Right.
Anyway, huh?
They fastly still that it move not.
Right.
The whole thing that they do to it is written right there.
It's written right there. But without fail, without controversy.
They even go out in the forest and cut it down.
Yeah.
And put it up in the
Right. It's undeniable. That's what I'm saying. It's totally undeniable.
Right.
But yet the first thing out of your mouth, show me that that's a Christmas tree. That ain't no Christmas tree. Or whatever else they come up
It was
with.
called a Christmas back then.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Verse 22. Wondrous works in the land of Ham and terrible things by the Red Sea. Therefore he said that he would destroy them, had not Shemaiah his chosen stood before him in the breach to turn away his wrath, lest he should destroy them.
And again, from a geographical dynamic, because that's when I show people our heritage in the scriptures, that's one of the first things I give them. I'm like, what is the location of everything that you're reading here in Torah? And I let them know it's Africa. But see, that's another thing there. Because they can't read the word Africa, they don't see it. Right? Well, wait a minute, ain't no, the word Africa did not exist then. But what it's called is the land of Ham. The land of Ham. Even our land is the land of Ham. Because it's Canaan.
It's Canaan, and that's Ham is there.
That's Africa. But go ahead.
Did not No,
We're at 23.
Uh-huh.
therefore he said that he would destroy them, and not Shemaiah his chosen stood before him in the breach to turn away his wrath, lest he should destroy them.
Now again, behold the severity. If Shemaiah, man, we need to celebrate that cat for real. Because if he had not had the heart to do what he did for 40 years, we wouldn't even be standing here right now.
Nope.
We would not even exist right now. The father said, in the father's wisdom, he did not even allow himself to continue looking at the people. He just looked at that man. And that man said, look, you destroy them, block me out of the book of life that you have written. Man, he wanted it to be known that I, as Yeshua, as it says, I magnify my office. And that's what he did. Stood in the gap. This is the last day I'm going to breathe. For these hard-headed people, that's who I'm standing up to the Most High with. Go ahead.
All right.
Read that one more time.
Therefore he said that he would destroy them, that had not Shemaiah his chosen stood before him in the breach to turn away his wrath, lest he should destroy them.
And he did it multiple times. I don't even know how many times he did. He done it a lot of times. Go ahead.
24, yea, they despised the pleasant land, they believed not his word, but murmured in their tents and hearkened not unto the voice of Yahuwah. Therefore he lifted up his hand against them to overthrow them in the wilderness, to overthrow their seed also among the nations, and to scatter them in the land.
See, I'm telling you, you really have to know the psychology of what was before you, right? Here, we were a second, third, fourth, fifth class people in Mizraim. Bro, you would never be considered first class because you're not Mizraim. The best that you can be is my servant that I choose to elevate you as far as I want you to go.
In my house.
Right. Exactly. But guess what, though? These people that have been in this condition for now for 40 years, just like us, we had no concept of being a nation. And everybody, look, man, come on, I can't express it enough. Nobody on the face of this earth knows what it's like to not to be a nation. To know what it's not like to speak your own language. To know not what it's like to put your hand in your pocket and take a coin out that bears your nation's name. Nobody on the face of the earth know what that's like, except for this people right here. But because we've never experienced it, it don't really mean nothing to us. Do that make sense or what? But no other people on the face of the earth could ever even imagine living their life with that type of reality. Okay? But here it is. Where did we leave off at?
24, 25, 26.
Okay, so 24 says they despise the pleasant land. How you going to despise land that is yours? That land represents your sovereignty. But that don't mean sovereignty don't mean nothing to you. You never had sovereignty. You never experienced it before. You don't know how important it is to be sovereign. To not to be fearful of another people that are not of your own people. You don't know what that's like, but that's what we did. In our ignorance, we despise a sovereign land, a pleasant land, and believe not his word. Verse 25.
We down at 27.
Okay, so we murmured in our tents and hearken not unto the one that gave us this freedom. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be like America bad mouthing George Washington. And instead of him dying with a whole bunch of land, with a whole bunch of cities named after him, he died as a broken man because the American people didn't believe in George Washington. He's not to be celebrated. But I'll just try to give you an analogy to show you just how so far removed these people are. But so we murmured in our tents and hearkened not unto the voice of Yahuwah. So, and therefore he lifted up his hand against them to overthrow them in the wilderness. Go ahead.
So overthrow their seed also among the nations to scatter them in the land.
Wait a minute, hold up. Think about that. This was all the way back then. That's the threat. And we didn't even regard that threat even back then. And we already knew what it was like because we lived it. To overthrow your seed also among the nations. You already came out from among the nations. This is what's going to happen again. You despise the pleasant land that you're going to get to be your own nation finally, and you disregard that. You don't deserve to be a nation. And scatter them in the lands. We are the end result of that, y'all. Can y'all imagine this? But we need to look at this like it's just mythology or it's old, however the way that the churches see it now. But that's what was going to be our end right here. To be overthrown among the nations and to be scattered in the land.
That we was before the time of the rest of the sequence of slavery we went through, right? He was before the time before Assyria came and got us.
What you mean?
Like when Dawid was living, you know what I'm saying? It had to be like when we were pressing the land, right? Because it was Saul and then Dawid. So that means it was before the Assyrians came and got us.
Right.
I'm just trying to put like the time in my head.
Right, but he's
So
not forgetting, right? But he's not talking about this time.
Yeah, he's talking about prophetic.
No, he's talking about historically.
Oh,
He's
before
still
when they
dealing
was
with right.
before they was
Right.
in the land, it was a
Right. Exactly. He's still dealing with history. He's still dealing with history.
Yeah, but I'm saying 26 and 27 look like he's speaking prophetically almost.
Because we
No,
did the same thing.
Right, but it's not prophetic. It's not prophetic. That's not prophetic. In the context, he's letting them know right there in the wilderness, this is what I'm going to do to y'all right here and right now.
27 is what I'm referring to.
But 26 said, therefore he lifted up his hand against them to overthrow them in the wilderness, to overthrow their seed also among the nations and scatter them into land. This is his mentality then, in the wilderness. This is the threat that he's giving the people in the wilderness. We ain't even came into a nation yet, and he's telling you that this is what's going to happen. You see that? But go ahead.
28, they joined themselves also into the Baal and make the sacrifice of the dead every day. Thus they provoked him to anger with their invention, and the plague break in upon them. Then stood up Phineas.
Still in the wilderness. Everything he's talking about is in the wilderness. Go ahead. Huh? Go ahead.
Then stood up Phineas and they executed executive judgment. And so the plague was stayed.
Y'all remember the story of Phineas? What he did? Huh? Phineas, okay, what happened was there was this Israelite and he had this woman. She was a Midianite or some other woman. And they defiled the Most High through their deeds or whatever. And the Father was going to send a plague upon them just because of them two. And Phineas took a javelin and threw it and stabbed both of them with the javelin. And the plague stayed because Phineas stood up and killed that man and his wife, his former wife of that worshiped this other deity. Right. Go ahead.
So he stood up and executive judgment. So the plague was stayed,
Yep.
and that was counted unto him for righteousness unto all generations evermore.
Wow.
They angered him also at
Okay.
the waters of strife.
Hold on for a second. Let me look. Hold on for a second. Where is this at anyway? Hold on for just for a second. Numbers. This is Numbers. Yeah. Numbers, the 25th chapter. I'm not going to go in there and read it right now for sake of time. But, and just understand that just so you know that you can't put another Elohim before the Most High. Huh? Don't try to make Christmas be what you think Christmas is now. Easter what you think it is now. These things are abominable before the Most High.
Right.
But if you don't know the Father, you don't know this. But that's why he gives you the example of Phineas right here, because that's what they were doing. And he brought forth the plague because of that. And Phineas killed the ones that caused the plague to be brought on him. And he said that was counted to him for righteousness to all generations, not some generations, all generations, forevermore. So go ahead.
And 31, and that was counted unto him for righteousness unto all generations forevermore. They angered him also at the waters of strife, so that it went ill with Shemaiah for their sakes, because they provoked his spirit, so that he spake unadvisedly with his lips.
And that's what got him cut off from entering into the land, fooling with these people that he kept delivering over and over. Father say, look, speak unto the rock. He said, man, how often must I deal with these, I'm paraphrasing, treacherous Israelites? And he took a stick and hit the rock. Twice, not once, but twice. Father said, look, see, now you done messed up. Your anger, see, and that's another lesson. Another lesson. Israel, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. That don't mean you need to hate Esau. See, that's what Shemaiah did, got him messed up. Oh, I can hate my people all day long for their wickedness, but I ain't give that for you to hate them. And you let the people mess you up at one time, that you done rebelled against me now. And I'm not gonna let you into the land because of this one thing that you messed up. You got all caught up in your feelings, and you acted according to your feelings, and that got you from going into the promised land. See, and I love that analogy too, because foolish people be thinking, oh, Moses' law. Moses didn't have no law. Even when you can read this in the places in here where it's talking about Moses didn't have no law. If he had a law, he would have been able to make them to the promised land. Real simple.
I used to be like, wow, that's messed up. But then I realized that, I said, that's aside. You destroy him.
Yep.
I build another people out of you.
Right.
At that moment.
Yeah.
You can't respond.
Right. He's just a good example of what happens when you allow that flesh to rise up. He had every right to be angry, but you didn't have no right to do contrary to what the Father commanded you to do. Right. And see, another thing about that, see, man can't write this right here. Man can't write that. The man could not, and they back in all the comments they had come up with what we reading about right here. That's another lesson. Go ahead. Where we at?
34. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom Yahuwah commanded them,
Right.
but were mingled among them.
Oh, God loves everybody. We're not going to destroy them. We're going to teach them how to serve the Father. That did not apply right here. Because see, the thing was that here's the knowledge behind that. These nations had already had their chance. Okay?
Yep.
They had already had their chance. But go ahead.
Mm-hmm. But were mingled among the heathen and learned their works, and they served their idols. which were a snare unto them. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils, and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. Thus were they defiled with their own works, and went a whoring with their own inventions. Therefore was the wrath of Yahuwah kindled against his people, and so much that he abhorred his own inheritance.
You hate your own heritage. Man. Oh, it's very bad. You know, I'm the father of 4 daughters, and I just leave it like that. Sometimes it's just like good. And here's the thing, though, you never stop loving them, despite whatever foolishness they allow themselves to be entertained by. It's just what it is. But I'm just saying the whole dynamic of that. The whole the whole dynamic of that pouring your inheritance. If the father is like that to his own inheritance, don't think that you'll be able to escape it. But anyway, that's another lesson. Go ahead.
41, he gave them into the hand of the heathen, that they hated them, ruled over them. And they that hated them ruled over them.
Yep.
Their enemies also oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their hand. Many times did he deliver them, for they provoked him with their counsel, and were brought low for their iniquity. Nevertheless, he regarded their affliction when he heard their cry.
Yeah, he did, because he's merciful. Go ahead.
He remembered for them his covenant and repented according to the multitude of his mercies. He made them also to be pitied of all those that carried them captives. Save us, O Yahuwah, our Elohim, and gather us from among the heathen to give thanks unto the holy name and to triumph in thy praise.
Now that's something right there. That verse 46, that's deep. That kind of reminds me of another passage. I'm going to see if y'all on this level. He made them also to be pitied of all those that carried them captive. Another passage came into my mind. You read that.
I started thinking about Ezekiel and Daniel.
Huh?
I mean Ezra, no,
And good? No, now I'll be back. Okay, let's try 1 Kings, the 8th chapter. Huh? You got it? Let's go there real quick. I'm going to show y'all what that reminds me of. Now, remember what it just said there. What it said there, what we just read? Right. He made them to be pitied among who?
The oppressors.
The oppressors. So when we go in 1 Kings, y'all, and we read this a lot. 1 Kings 8. This is what threw me into my mind. First Kings 8. And read that in verse 47. Y'all gonna be like, oh, 47.
Verse 1 King 8:47. Yet if they shall bethink themselves.
I'm sorry, 46. My bad.
46. If they sin against you, for there is no man that sin not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captives into the land of the enemy, far or near. Yet if they shall bethink themselves in the land where they were carried captives, and repent and make supplication unto you in the land of them that carried them captives, saying, we have sinned and have done perversely, we have committed wickedness, and so return unto you with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies, which led them away captive, and pray unto you toward their land, which thou gave unto their fathers, the city which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name. Then hear thou their prayer and their supplication in heaven, thy dwelling place, and maintain their cause, and forgive your people that have sinned against you, and all their transgression wherein they have transgressed against you, and give them compassion before them who carried them captive, that they may have compassion on them.
Great day in the, oh,
That's it.
that's my bad. Let me do it again. Great day.
Great day in the morning.
All right. But no, ain't that the same thing? Is that not the same thing we just read? Why you think the Father, why you think that's something deep for the Father? That we would have the compassion of our oppressors. That it's something because we done read it twice. Did we not just read that twice? We agree, read that. Why is that a deep thing to the Father?
Because people have to know we have compassion for. When you care, when they say something, you tend to listen. You tend to adhere.
Okay, so let's look at the whole system of it. We're among our oppressors, and they're oppressing it came close. If I cursed before, I apologize. I might have did. I had to stop myself that time. But they oppress us on a level that's unimaginable. So, but what happens though? It says here that we collectively rethink ourselves.
And we cry out to him.
Okay. And so now what happens?
The Father has compassion on us.
Right. But it also becomes where we also take back hold that priesthood, and the strangers now begin to learn of Yah through that compassion. See? Because the only reason why we were carried away in other nations is because of our wickedness, but we were supposed to be among the nations, high above the nations, as a priest nation of people. But it's through sin and transgression that we're among the nations. But we bethink ourselves and pray unto Yah. And what he's doing now, he's giving us compassion among the oppressors. But they're now doing what? Learning about Yah. They're learning. So we're doing what we were supposed to be doing from the first place.
It's like in Job.
I was already there. I was already there. Oh my God. I want, since you said it, finish that out. Yes. Just like Job. Exactly. Go ahead. Elaborate.
Yeah, when Job was being punished by the Most High.
Yes, he was. Yes.
He did shit. Like,
But that's what it was. That was awesome. Because I was right there, but I saw somebody else pulled it right out of my head. And that's exactly correct. Job was being punished by the Most High, absolutely. But through his punishment, those Gentiles, heathens, whatever they were delivered spiritually as well as physically. And they all called upon the name of Yah on one consent. Job took on that mantle, even though he didn't want to take on that mantle. The Father made him to be a priest right there on that ship before they throw him to the whales, to the fish. That's awesome, man. I love that. That was awesome. But that's exactly what that's about when the Father allows the oppressors to not to be destroyed, but to have compassion.
Murray, he said, Job, not Jonah.
Jonah. Right, but I'm glad he somebody listening like, hey, I missed that chapter.
Who was Job on the boat?
Right, what boat did he go?
For real.
But hallelujah, y'all. Let's move right along, man. 'Cause I ain't even got to the good part yet. Oh, here go the good part right here. Deuteronomy 28. This right here is how this whole lesson is, man. Deuteronomy 28 chapter. Matter of fact, I remember I had a friend named Joe in Chicago. And we was out preaching. We was in the mall in Chicago. And we saw these young guys, and we started breaking down Deuteronomy 28 chapter. But I remember when I read this part to them, boy, it's almost like a light bulb went off in their head. But this is the reason why this lesson is this right here. Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. I'm going to go directly to the point. Start this off at the 61st verse. Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and the 61st verse.
Deuteronomy 28 and 61.
Right.
Also, every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law, him will Yahweh bring upon you, until thou be destroyed, and ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou would not obey the voice of Yahweh. And it shall come to pass,
It shall come to pass
that as Yahweh rejoice over you to do you good, and to multiply you, so Yahweh will rejoice over you to destroy you.
Can you imagine that? This is the mind of Yah right here. It's one thing to know that he's going to punish you, but to understand the fact of how you feel about it, though. He said, just as I have rejoiced over you to do you good, to multiply you, so I will rejoice over you to destroy you. I said, brother, do you know that when one of your friends is shot to death in the middle of the street, the father is rejoicing over that? And our mothers was being raped. Our father was rejoicing over that. See, it's one thing to understand, the curse, but understand the mind of Yah through it, though. The father could not hold his peace until he had accomplished just what he set forth among his people to go through, because we have pushed them to the edge. See, that's not the God that people know about. That's not the God that people know about. But they need to understand who he is in reality. It should come to pass that as Yahweh, this is where my whole lesson came from, right here, man. Because it was like, oh, wait a minute, hold up. If the Father rejoiced over you to bring you to the very bottom, that's just, man, what do you do? It ain't nothing else for you to do at this point. That is it. But that's what he said. He said, just as rejoice over you to do you good and to multiply you. So what I said, behold the severity, man. We got to know the severity of the Father, because he is no joke. He is no joke. Right now, they put these great big numbers up for the people that have died from this pestilence that the Father just did not, again, allow me to have no fear of. Oh, yeah, I can go out here and die tomorrow. I don't know, perhaps, whatever, but I don't have no fear of it. And it's only through the Father that I just don't have no fear of it. Through the Father and the keeping of his commandments. He's keeping up his commandments. He told us he's going to protect us, those that are his. I want the Father to look upon me and have compassion upon me right now. Right now.
Hallelujah.
Because the very fact that we're able to overcome all of these traditions that we were born into and turn and do exactly what we just read in that 1 Kings 8 chapter. Huh? Right. And here's the thing, unlike what Israelites be thinking, I suppose to be happy at the compassion of the oppressors that have compassion toward me, instead of teaching that they all gonna die and be our slaves and be this, that, or the other, which is not according to the scriptures. But that's a whole nother lesson. Man. But I read anyway, did I finish that? It should come up as that Yahweh rejoice over you to do you good, to multiply you. So Yahweh will finish that.
Oh, I'm long
63.
63. I'm gonna start on top.
Yeah.
And it shall come to pass that as Yahweh rejoice over you to do you good and to multiply you, so Yahweh rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to nothing. And ye shall be plucked from off the land where thou go to possess it. And Yahweh shall scatter you among all people, from the one end of the earth even into the other. And thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou or your fathers No, even wood and
And
stone.
that's something we got to always remember. That all these churches and religious institutions and all that we're subject to, that's all part of the purpose. Father said that when I put you among these nations in this captivity, you ain't even gonna know who you are. You're not even gonna know your name. You're not even gonna know what your language even sound like. And guess what? You're not gonna collectively even know me because you're gonna be serving Jesus and all the other idols of the heathen. I'm not gonna allow you to defile my name among the heathen. You're gonna be utterly destroyed. So much destroyed that you ain't gonna be a whole person no more, a whole human being no more. Because the very thing that makes you a whole human being, you ain't even gonna seek after it. Just like your ancestors didn't seek after it when they spent 400 years in Israel. They should have been coming out being like, oh man, we finally got a heritage. We finally got a culture. We finally got our own Elohim. Ain't nothing, it's the same dynamic, same thing. All right, moving right along, y'all. Let's go on Ezekiel 5th chapter. He go up. When I read this one, I said, oh man, this is a whole lesson right here. That. What's up? Mm-hmm. Ezekiel the 5th chapter. You don't know nothing about the Father unless you know this. If you don't know this about the Father, you just don't know him. Ezekiel the 5th chapter. Ezekiel 5th chapter. Let's start this off at the 5th verse.
Ezekiel 5:5. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. That said, Yahuwah Elohim, this is Yahushua. I have set it in the midst of the nation and the country that are round about her. And she hath changed my judgment into wickedness more than the nations.
Now check it out, y'all. Look at that. He said he has set Jerusalem. Think about the whole dynamic of that. Jerusalem in the midst of the nation. We don't know, okay, is Jerusalem part of Africa? Is it part of Europe? Is it part of Shem, Asia? We still have that today, y'all. Huh? People, they are Gentiles, Japhetic. They ruling it. But wait a minute, there's a lot of Shemitic people around it. But biblically, it's the land of Ham. Ain't no other place on the earth have that dynamic. No other place on earth have that dynamic, y'all. And in Jerusalem right now is every type of religion under the sun from all of these nations. Ain't that something?
America.
Huh? Man,
How did you just
the
say that?
melting pot, right? Go ahead.
How did you just say that? Looking at the map, if everything was still Pangea supercontinent, it'd be smack dead in the middle, ain't it?
Oh,
The Levant.
But see, that's the whole thing about it. It is like that of the middle because from the whole dynamic, man, this was all an afterthought. This is all afterthought. So this is Spain, this is France, and part of this is France, and this is England. This is like the annex, the term annex, right? Y'all know the term annex?
No.
Like you have the sanctuary, the church building, then you had a little building called an annex. And ANNEX, the little add-on, the addition. And that's what this whole Western Hemisphere is. It's the addition.
Addition of what?
Spain, England, and France. All of it. Spain, this is all Spain right here. You ain't gonna get nothing but Hispaniola, or Spanish, right? Latin. Right. French still got their little pieces, remnants in there.
Oh, you come up with 14 years?
Huh? Exactly. See what I'm saying is that he set us in the midst of the nations. And like you say, if you take the Advent out, that's where we are at, in the midst of the nation. Gentiles ruling it, but then we're around a lot of other Shem, but it's the land of Ham biblically. No other place on earth has it like that. Can be considered set in the midst of the nations like that. Okay, but anyway, what did we read off that? Verse 5 says, I have set it in the midst of the nations and countries that are round about her. So again, this is all part of the way the Father set up so that we could be a nation of priests. North, south, east, and west. Yahshua said, many gonna come and sit with me with Abraham at my table from the north, south, east, and west. But you children of Abraham will be cast into the outer darkness. There'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Right, but he just said Jerusalem in the midst of Israel about it. Verse 6.
Verse 6, and she hath changed my judgment to wickedness more than the nation.
More than the nation. You're supposed to be a priest nation, and you are worse than the nation that you're supposed to be teaching. Go ahead.
And my statutes more than the country that are round about her. For they have refused my judgments and my statutes. They have not walked in them. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah Elohim, because ye multiply more than the nations that are round about you, and have not walked in my statutes, neither have kept my judgment, neither have done according to the judgments of the nations that are round about you.
Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Verse 8, therefore thus say Yahuwah Elohim, behold, I, even I, am against you, and will execute judgments in the midst of you, in the sight of the nations.
I don't care what no Israelites say, man. We ain't got no business preaching against the nations. None. He said, neither have they done according to the judgments of the nations that are round about you. You are in no authority to teach against anybody else. That's just like a child comes home with a note from a teacher because he done been unruly, right? And a friend got the same note, right? But you as a mother, you got nothing to say about the friend. Or when your child say, well, Miss Harris let John do it. I'm like, okay, but that's Miss Harris. You know, you get your, ass beat. He ain't gonna get his ass beat. If you come around Malay, little Johnny, what's going on? I heard you being bad in school, boy, you better get it together. Well, you, that ain't what you gonna get. Father operate the same way. The same way. You're supposed to teach them, but it's messed up. Now you're their slave. So you can't teach nobody now. So you're not in no authority to teach against these people because you're the one that's messed up. And I can't even punish them the way I punish y'all. Because that's why he said, I winked at them in their ignorance. Why were they ignorant? Because you didn't do your job. That's what the Father meant. He said, I winked at them in their ignorance. You ain't getting that wink. Huh? Just because I thought of that, let's read this real quick and we're going to come right back here, man. I got a good part right here with this video. Let's go on to Amos real quick. Amos, the second chapter. We're going to come right back here. Just so I can get a witness to what I just said.
You said Amos 9?
Amos 2.
Oh, 2.
Amos 3, I'm sorry, Amos 3. Amos the third chapter. Amos the third chapter. Amos 3, and start this off at verse 1. Did you get it? You found it?
Yeah.
Oh man, still getting on point today, huh?
Oh yeah. Showing up. Verse 3 and 1. Of Amos, hear this word that Yahuwah has spoken against you, O children of Yasharel, against the whole family which I brought upon brought up from the land of Israel, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your
You
iniquities.
see that? I told you. There it is right there. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. I'm linking at them. But every last one of your iniquities, man, you're gonna have to give account for it. That's why they can get away with stuff you can't get away. That's why they can eat stuff that you can't eat.
Say that again.
Huh?
Say it again.
What? That's why they can eat stuff that you can't eat. And I'm talking about from a physical dynamic, not from a spiritual dynamic, because they're not supposed to eat it either. But they don't have this high blood pressure and diabetes and sickle cell anemia and all these other things that we suffer from. Oh, we ain't even talk, man. Look, everything. If it moves, it gets devoured. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you are. Yes, you are. And see here, see, look, and see here in Florida, see, being from Chicago, this is not something that I would even thought about in a million years. But here in Florida, they tear these alligators up.
Yeah, I didn't notice at the time, but I didn't order myself, but I tried vegetarian.
Yeah, it's common delicacy here.
Yeah.
You know, you go a little bit further north, maybe like in Georgia, they probably can tell you about frog legs. Where my father's from in Louisiana.
Frog legs ain't no meat on the legs.
Hey, but look, man, they say just like chicken. That's all they care about. Where my people from in Louisiana, they can tell you about the real coon. Huh? No, that one that look like a dog. It's called a coon. I think it looks like a coon. It's not like raccoon. It's a coon. It's an animal. I can remember it was kind of like a dog. But they put that bad boy on the grill and devoured it. Anyway, man. My dad, y'all know if y'all ever heard of this before. Y'all ever heard of hog head cheese?
I heard that saying, yes.
Hog
head cheese.
Huh? It's called hog head cheese. They make it, it's what we call lunch meat. It's colors usually like a gray.
Oh, we used to eat it.
Like sour meat.
What y'all call it?
Sour meat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sour meat.
Yeah.
We ate it with cheese and crackers.
Yep, that's what you ate it with.
Well, that hog head?
Hog head cheese.
I
Yeah.
ate it in my mother's family.
Oh yeah. Man.
Ironically, we used to eat it at Bible study.
Oh,
no! We ate it.
abomination.
Tear it up.
Well, and truthfully, that's not ironic. That fits right along with what the meal should have been. All right. But let's go back to that Ezekiel 5. Ezekiel 5. I'm gonna have to do a part 2 for this. What time? What the time at?
4:17.
4:17. All right, we're gonna get through this one right here. Yeah, Ezekiel 5th chapter. Ezekiel 5th chapter. So today is the 10th, 11th, right? 11th, yeah. Next Shabbat is the 18th. The 25th, we ain't gonna be open here. We're gonna be in Orlando. Anybody want to come down to Orlando for Shabbat? Come on down. We're gonna be doing this in Orlando. Have a good time. Wherever we at, man, have a good time. I'm on my vacation, and actually I'll be on my vacation. No, I won't. She'll be on her vacation, but she's already on vacation. He's still out there. I don't know why he goes out there so soon like that. And they could easily just knock on the door and just come get him. He don't even have to be out there like that. But anyway, okay, so Ezekiel, where did we leave off at in the fifth chapter?
Right.
Verse 8? All right, go ahead.
Therefore, thus say Yahuwah Elohim, behold, I, even I, am against you and will execute judgment in the midst of you in the sight of the nations. And I will do in you that which I have not done, and whereunto I will not do any more the like, because of all your abominations.
Right.
Therefore the fathers shall eat the sons in the midst of you, and the sons shall eat the fathers, and I will execute judgment in you, and the whole remnant of you will I scatter into all the winds. Wherefore, as I live, say Yahuwah Elohim, surely because thou hast defiled my sanctuary with all thy detestable things, with all your abominations, therefore will I also diminish you, neither shall my eye spare, neither will I have any pity.
Somebody ain't got no pity, y'all, for the multitude of stuff that we go through as a people. Somebody ain't having no pity. But he says, my eye will not spare, neither will I have any pity. That means the worst thing that can ever happen to any people is going to happen to you. This right here closed the book on who the Israelites are right here. And we ain't even in Deuteronomy 28. My eye will not spare, neither will I have any pity. Go ahead. Here you go.
I want to, never mind.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's off subject. I was just wondering what he meant by defile the sanctuary with all detestable things and abominations.
That's what we did. Our sanctuary in Jerusalem, that's what we did. We defiled it. See, before Antiochus Epiphanes, before he came and did his thing, we were doing the things that we were mad about him for doing.
Antiochus Epiphanes.
Yeah. You know, the Maccabees.
Yeah.
They came in and sacrificed pig on the altar. The only reason why they did that, Father allowed them to come and do it. Because we had already been doing all kind of abominations in the Most High's place.
Orgies in them.
All that stuff.
That's crazy.
All of that. But go ahead.
Oh, they weren't doing it according to the dietary law?
Man, we were doing all types of unclean stuff there.
All right, so 12, a third part of you shall die with the pestilence.
Third party is going to die with the pestilence. Go ahead.
And with famine shall they be consumed in the midst of you, and the third part shall fall by the sword round about you. And I will scatter a third part into all the winds, and I will draw the sword after them.
Wow. You're going to think you escape. But that sword is going to be following you in every place where you are scattered. That sword is going to be right there waiting on you. Waiting on you in all the places where we've been scattered at.
Right.
But check this out, though. Check this out. Go ahead.
Thus shall my anger be
He
accomplished.
said, my anger shall be accomplished. The Father was going through fits, y'all, while we was a nation and to follow him on a daily basis. And he just getting just more angry and angry and angry. He says, look, when this happens, when y'all end up among all these nations with the sword chasing after y'all, he said, thus shall my anger be accomplished. Look, that's a fallacy. When I be hearing people calling themselves addressing violence outside of Chicago, whatever, west side of Chicago, north side of Jacksonville, addressing all that. How many times y'all done heard some idiot who gets highly paid to be an idiot? They're doing that because there are no jobs. That's the worst lie that's ever been told. That's the biggest lie that ever been told. I get angry when I hear somebody make a stupid statement like that. And why do I get angry? Because I have graduated from high school, and I'm a grown man, and I have walked down the streets of Chicago with nothing but lit in my pockets on a daily basis. I couldn't find no job or whatever. Still living in my mama house. At I was like 21 years old, 22. The worst place I wanted to be, but I didn't have no place else to go. Right? There has never ever been a time in any of that I ever thought that I needed to rob somebody, that I felt I needed to go find a gun and stick somebody up. So you cannot tell me that violence is because there are a lack of jobs or lack of opportunity. I never ever go for that in a million years. But anyway, that's an excuse that people try to come up with. But the fact is that the Father put us in this state as a people collectively. And he says, verse 13, he says, thus shall my anger be accomplished. Read the rest of that.
And I will call my fury to rest upon them.
My fury is going to rest upon y'all. Go ahead.
And I'll be comforted.
And this was part two. First it was Deuteronomy 28, but then I read that, I was like, oh man, this is the mind of y'all right here. He ain't just telling y'all I'm angry in that spirit. He letting you know that, look, I got something on me. And until I see y'all go through this thing that I go through, then will I be comforted. Deuteronomy 28 said, I will rejoice over you. See, this is people don't know him. They don't know him. They don't know nothing about him. He says, then will I be comforted. The creator of heaven and earth says, I will be comforted when I see y'all going through the worst thing that any human being could ever go through on the face of this earth. That's heavy right there. Finish that out for me.
Verse 13.
13th verse.
I'm starting from the top of that.
Yeah.
Then shall my anger be accomplished, and I will call my fear to rest upon them, and I will be comforted. And they shall know that I, Yahuwah, have spoken it in my zeal, when I have accomplished my fury in them. Moreover, I will make you waste and a reproach among the nations that are round about you, in the sight of all that pass
Man, on a reproach. And that's just a nice way you say it right here, but go ahead.
by. So it shall be a reproach and a taunt, an instruction, and an astonishment unto the nations that are round about you, when I shall execute judgments in you in anger, and in fury, and furious from groups. I, Yahuwah, have spoken.
Oh yeah, because see, these nations know who we are, y'all. Man, y'all seen that show? What's the show called? What was that name of that show that came out?
Oh, the one with Orlando?
No, Compton.
Oh, Compton, yeah.
Them, is that what it was? Them?
Oh, them.
Yeah.
Them.
And they showed that scene, they went back in time, and that Gentile preacher was preaching, but they did all kinds of dirt against his family. And they was preaching Deuteronomy 28 to them, saying, Scripture said that y'all should be blinded. And he took their eyes out. And he was preaching and made the whole community hate the people just because they was us, a family. And he's preaching Deuteronomy 28, the whole thing, like he's putting on this here. And that's exactly what he's saying right here. That's exactly what he's saying right here. He says, 15 says, so it shall be a reproach and a taunt and an instruction and an astonishment unto who? Unto the nations that are round about thee. Don't tell me these people don't know who we are. When I shall execute judgments in thee in anger and in fury and in furious rebukes, I, Yahuwah, have spoken it. Go ahead.
When I shall send, verse 16, when I shall send upon them the evil arrows of famine, which shall be for their destruction, which I will send to destroy you, and I will increase the famine upon you, and will break your staff of bread. So will I send upon you famine and evil beasts, and they shall bereave you, and the pestilence, the blood, and pestilence and blood shall pass through you, and I will bring the sword upon you. I, Yahuwah, have spoken.
Wow, y'all. That's part one of and the severity. This is part one. But it's just showing you the mindset of the Most High, man. Because, man. Again, but this is why we here, y'all. This is why we observe the Shabbat. Because we know this. See, this is why they're not observing Shabbat. Because they don't know the severity thereof. This is why we're here trying to learn everything we can about our Father, the Creator, so that whatever punishment He done put upon us in our ignorance, it will cease from among us. And He can finally again rejoice over us to do us good. Because He has surely rejoiced over us on that other end and is still doing it. Still doing it anyway, but that's part one, man. We're going to finish this out. Meshabot on part two. Despite everything else, may the Father have a blessing for the reading of His word in Yeshua's name. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Man. Yeah. I know you're going to turn it on later to see what you done missed, right?
Actually, I was looking at this way.
Oh, okay. All right.
When you say you're not going to debate your wife or Andrea.
Wait, say it again.
I heard you when you said you're not going to debate with your wife and Andrea.
Oh, okay. Did I say that?
No, but you were referring to somebody, you were speaking it
Right.
at somebody else.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Got you. Absolutely. I don't want to see y'all no more until my holiday is over with. Absolutely, y'all. But anyway, y'all, that's the lesson, man. Any questions, comments, anything else?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Why you titled it in the severity thereof?
Woo!
Well, I get the severity thereof, but what about where the conjunction coming from?
Oh, well, that'll be Meshabot.
I thought you were doing part two.
Meshabot.
Right, I'm talking about the conjunction and. You said and the severity thereof.
Right.
I'm saying that
What was
and
the first part?
Right.
What was the first part?
What came before and the severity thereof?
That's a good question. We're going to go over that in Meshabot.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
He's so mysterious. Oh man, make you look forward to something, man.
I know.
You're supposed to look forward to it, man. That ain't about me, man. It's about the word of the Most High, man. Seriously. So that's when I and the severity thereof, man. Seriously. But anyway, man. Father. Man. Oh, yeah, we're going to stand up, y'all. Face y'all rooms and close out in prayer.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Abba, we thank you for this word that you've given to us. Allow us not to walk in iniquity, Father, but in righteousness before you, in obedience before you, Father. We ask that you forgive us the sins of our ancestors, Father, and the things that we have done that's not pleasing to your sight. Father, we ask that you cleanse us of all iniquity, all unrighteousness right now, Father. Cleanse our mind, cleanse our spirits and our being, Father, and allow us to walk after righteousness for your name's sake, Father. We thank you, Father. We give you all the honor and all the glory. Yeshua HaMashiach, in your name. Hallelujah.
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 Yeah.